How's everybody doing? This is JD Temple here, and joining me this evening, I have my good friend JS Garrett. How you doing, man?
Doing great, brother. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much for asking. And I have a really hot topic here this evening, and it's something that I'm really excited to get into, and it's something that I have personal experience with, and on several occasions, something that you and I have both been working on together, and I think that it has greatly impacted our lives in many ways, not just magically. And I'm really excited to share it with everyone this evening. And that's your rite of deification from the Anthology of Sorcery, Volume 3, Book of Spells. So what can you share with us to get things started about this rite of deification?
Wow. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you to you for allowing me to experience being the recipient of this ritual. Up until recently, I'd yet to be on the receiving end of this, and man, it has been fucking awesome. It's been mind blowing. It's I can honestly say it's everything that I cracked it up to be in the article in the anthology. To it's one thing to be the operator in this ritual. That's a pretty crazy experience in itself, to be the one actually performing this rite for someone. So it's been a real treat for me to get to experience being on the other side of it. Well, I guess first of all, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about being the recipient of this ritual, and then I would like to get some feedback from you as far as like what it was like for you to be the operator as well, and doing this ritual for myself. So I guess my first question would be, what differences have you seen in yourself as far as your magical workings go since having the deification rite performed for you?
um, well, to attempt to put it into words, um, I would definitely say right out the gate that it has greatly altered my sense of my own reality, um, in just tremendous ways. Um, it definitely seems like it has opened doorways that were up at that point just inaccessible for me, or seemingly inaccessible. It really seems like it just kind of takes your ascent and just like it's like adding rocket fuel to it, and it's like any barriers that seemed to be there had just dissolved, and that I'm just able to kind of effortlessly move forward and to accomplish and achieve whatever it is that I set my mind to. It's really like magical steroids, I guess I would say. Like the
That's great. That's a great way to put it.
yeah, I mean, really. And it's like I remember like when I first read the article, I remember how excited I got that night. And I mean, I seriously could barely sleep. When I finally read that article, I was just like, holy shit, like this is freaking awesome. And it was like, and the fact that it delivered on everything that, based on what my expectations were, and even more so, it was just not that I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I knew that it was going to be powerful without a doubt. But it was just such as we were talking about before, it's such a tangible experience, receiving the benefit of that ritual. I remember the next morning, it was just kind of like my perception of everything was just expanded in ways that I couldn't really even totally comprehend it yet, of like actually what was really happening. It was just an overall feeling of of empowerment to the nth degree, but also of this just perfect clarity of just like of the entire universe almost. And when you experience that, it gives you this inner drive and desire to do something with that, like that I had never experienced before. You know, I had an overwhelming urge and desire to push my magic to the next level, but at the same time knowing that I wasn't really going to have to push it at all, that it was just going to naturally unfold, because it was kind of like I had been given the keys to all the gates, and now they were wide open, and I could just stroll right on through, without a care in the world, and just make things happen, without really having to doubt myself or think twice about it. It was kind of like you get the feeling of, oh, okay, well, this is how it's supposed to be. Like, this is what it's supposed to be like. It just like, I remember that next morning, just having this feeling of invincibility, really. Once you start to realize that, and it kind of builds on itself, you almost get to the point to where you don't even know like what to do. You don't know what to do with yourself. You're like I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, and you just really you want to just explode out of your own skin. It was like a mega dose of spiritual growth in a matter of 6 or 8 hours overnight while I slept.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool, man. And yeah, that's similar to what I experienced too. And I'll get into that here in just a minute. I had one other question for you. Now, have you noticed any physical changes? Like, have you been physically stronger or faster or anything like that as your libido increased in this ritual done? If you don't mind my asking.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. The libido, without a doubt. And I would definitely say like physical strength too, because I have not been, and I hate to admit this, and I mean, it's probably obvious anyways, but I haven't been to the gym since I went on a 2-week vacation back in July. And what is it, December now? So that's like 5 months or 6 months or whatever. And even though I haven't been to the gym, like I'm where I would normally at this point really notice a huge decrease in my overall physical strength. I really have not noticed that at all. I mean, I feel the same as I did when I was, hitting the weights heavy and hard every day. So I think that it definitely has, I think that ritual has more to offer across the board than I think that I've even come to realize yet at this point. I think there's still going to be things that I'm going to experience, and that I'm going to be able to like take away from that I'm just not cognizant of it yet, because it's so much to take in and of itself anyways. That ritual, to me, it seems to be at its origins just extremely ancient. You know, you were talking about being the operator. I have never, ever gotten into a ritual the way that I did in performing this. I mean, I totally got lost in it. I became someone else. I don't really know who that was, but it wasn't me. Um, it felt very tribal, and it felt very I don't want to say not primitive, but like just prehistoric or ancient. You know, like it was something that kind of like it captures the very essence of life and our existence here on this planet, and you get to really embody what it is to be alive, and like what it feels like to be a human being, and what it feels like uh, to take in that life force energy of another living being as you have struck it down and taken their life from it. And you know, not that it was in vain, that it was that sacrifice would just supremely empower me in every way. And it just felt so right, you know, like and it felt natural, and it felt exhilarating, you know, like I really didn't even know if I could actually sacrifice something. I've done it enough times now to where I look forward to it now, because um, it's just this very organic cosmic bond that you kind of create with your own spirit, in a sense, that just nothing else can touch it. I just have never had an experience like that before, and I'm so excited to repeat that process and experience it again and again. And every time I've done it so far, it has not disappointed one bit. If anything, it's gotten sweeter, and it has delivered more to me every single time.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, that's well. My experience on my end. First of all, like as far as being the operator during your ritual, that was one of the most intense deification rites I've ever performed. I mean, I've just got to say that when your spirit shows up in the triangle, like an entire legion of spirits travels with you. Like it was fucking insane. Like I started to speak the conjuration, and I didn't even get finished with it. I got about halfway through the conjuration, and the fire started roaring and the wind picked up. And I could feel like things touching me. It was like spirits swirling around inside the circle. And just for a split second at times, I could almost make out your face in the flames. And there was a point at the end where like it was almost like communing with your spirit outside of your body. It was mind blowing. It was absolutely awesome. And I noticed that after the ritual, I was extremely wired myself, even though the sacrifice was to you and the intent was for you to absorb all of that energy. It's almost like being the operator, you absorb some of that energy as well while you're in the circle as this is taking place. So it almost benefits the operator. I mean, I wouldn't say that the effects are the same now that I've been the recipient of the ritual. You did the ritual for me, and you told me what day and time you were going to do it, and I was really excited. Like I went and I laid down, because that's what I instruct people to do, is just lay down and go to sleep. It's so much easier to evoke them if they're sleeping for some reason. And so I'm laying there at midnight, and I'm like shaking. I'm so excited because I know you're setting up to do this ritual for me. I'm like, fuck, I'm not even tired. I'm not going to be able to go to sleep. And that was the last thing I remember thinking. And then next thing I know, I wake up 2 hours later. Okay. It was like 2:30 in the morning when I woke up. And so I wake up to go to the bathroom, and as soon as I stand up, I have like no balance. I'm like, oh, fuck this, you know, and I laid back down. And so I thought I was going to go back to sleep, but I didn't. Like, I laid there over about a 20-30 minute period, and I started feeling this vibration in my chest. It was like I literally had a vibrator in my chest, and it got stronger and stronger and stronger, and I felt this energy just radiating down my arms and going throughout every extremity in my body. And then I was like really restless. Like, I could not lay still. I was laying there squirming around. I'm like, oh, I got to get up. And so I get up and I pace around the house for a few minutes. I'm like, this is fucking insane. Like, you know, it's like, it's almost like you can't believe it when you're experiencing it. It's so insane. So what I did was, you know, I do a lot of water meditation. So I went in the bathroom and ran a hot bath, and I just sat there in the water for about an hour, just meditating. And I could feel my body steadily absorbing this energy. Like, it was almost too much to handle at first, you know, like that massive overload, that influx of energy, like melding with your spirit and absorbing into your physical body. And so I you know, I never did go back to sleep that night. I went and I laid back down for a little bit. And after the restlessness like subsided, then I just felt euphoric. Like, I was laying there, and it was like the best high ever, but I was crystal clear, you know? And so since then, like, I've noticed that my aches and pains are almost non-existent. I have a couple of back injuries from my time in the military, and I live in pain constantly, normally. And, you know, I at times I'll eat a bottle of Motrin in a day, you know, just to function. I'll wake up in the mornings and I'm all stiff. Sometimes I have to take a hot shower just to loosen up and be able to function. And since you did this ritual for me, I have not had any of that pain. Like, I wake up in the morning and roll out of bed, and I'm wide awake. I feel good. I don't have any of the normal aches and pains or muscle tightness. And I haven't had to take anything, you know, any Motrin or painkillers or anything like that since you did this. And it's been almost 2 months now, and I'm still feeling those physical effects. And another thing that I've noticed is this is a bit hard to explain, and it's a bit personal, but for me, it's like I've always had this hunger, like I'm jonesing for something all the time, and I've never been able to figure out what it is. This satisfied that hunger. Like, like the first time in my life, I don't feel like I'm jonesing for something, and that's been really nice too. I was driving down the road like 2 days after you performed this ritual, and I was still feeling like my whole body's just vibrating. And I'm like, you know, it dawned on me. I'm like, holy shit, like, this really is like the answer that I've been looking for. So yeah, I'm extremely excited to be doing this with you. It's something that I recommend to everyone who's interested, is to find another capable, you know, magician like yourself and come to an agreement to perform this ritual for each other as an exchange of power. And it's it's been quite an experience, man. So I'm full of gratitude for you for doing that for me. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how far we can take this. Like, I think the possibilities are endless. If you can get this much out of sacrificing a chicken to someone in spirit form, then I can't even imagine the possibilities of using larger, more complex life forms. And I encourage people to experiment with this and see how far they can take it, for sure.
Oh man, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, like, it definitely satisfied hunger for me, like you were explaining, but it also, in a very huge way, has evoked a hunger within me to do this ritual, because it is such an experience being the operator. Um, it's indescribable, really, and it's something that the best way that I can put it is that um, it's like you are the the lead role in, the biggest motion picture that ever was, and you get to be a part of it again and again. And it's like you get pulled so deeply into it, and into that role of the operator in this ritual, that it really does, um, it takes you away. It takes you away from this physical plane of existence. um, and I really feel like I am definitely forever changed from being the recipient and from being the operator, both. Like you said, I think that you definitely benefit from it, on both sides of the fence. And I think that both kind of bring a few different benefits too. I mean, I definitely felt every single time that I performed it, and I would make that sacrifice, that just influx of massive amounts of energy, and just like this sense of empowerment. It's something that I like so anxious to do. I mean, again and again. I mean, I really look forward to it, and it's another too. I think it's one of those rituals um, where it's what is the term that I'm looking for? Like, I'm getting older and my thoughts escape me sometimes, but um, of preparatory immersion, because you have to go through that process of acquiring the chicken, and for me, that's a 30-minute drive at least. And before that, I have to actually, go on different sites and different listings and try to find, who has them available, and try to coordinate with them. And, it's something that I don't really have a pen to keep livestock in. So I have to acquire them the same day that I'm going to perform the ritual. So for me, and also since it's an outdoor ritual, there's a lot that goes into it, from the acquiring of the livestock to actually setting up the ritual space and setting up that outdoor temple and really getting everything the way that I'd want it to be. And so the first time I did it, I mean, I literally spent a good part of an entire day on really just being immersed in that ritual, and like, so I mean, it didn't start at midnight or 1 in the morning for me. It started at 11 a.m. earlier that day and continued on until the ritual actually took place. Um,
Yeah.
and so like that in and of itself for me is it just adds, so it just enriches the whole experience, of being the operator, because you put so much into it, so much of yourself into it, and so much of your time into it. This is not a ritual that you can really just kind of like throw some things together and in 10 minutes you're done, and bing bang boom out the door.
Yeah.
This requires some serious planning and some serious thought, and it's something that should never really be entered into lightly. I mean, I have the utmost respect for that life that I'm going to be taking, and it's just so unlike anything else that I've ever experienced. It really leaves me trying to reach out and grab words that really don't exist in our
Yeah.
English language to describe it.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there. I mean, it's hard to articulate to someone what it's like to experience this if they've never experienced it. It really is. And yeah, like you were saying, there's a lot that goes into this if you want to do it and do it right. And a lot of people just are not set up to perform a ritual like this, either because of where, mostly because of where they live. It's a messy ritual and you have to build a fire, so it's really not feasible to do it indoors. And so you need an outdoor ritual space and you need privacy. So Christians aren't burning crosses in your yard, your neighbors aren't calling the police on you. So, I mean, I'm lucky to live in the location that I'm at to where I can do this for people and do it correctly. Um, let's see. Another thing I was going to ask you is, have you, has any part of this experience been negative for you? Have you noticed any negative side effects, any negative reactions, anything like that since the ritual?
No, I mean, not at all. I mean, if I wasn't somewhat prepared for what I was going to experience, it may have been a bit overwhelming. But you had done your due diligence and really laying out what to expect, and based on how it went for your wife when you did performed it for her. So I already had an idea of what was going to go down, and it was definitely for me much more than that, but I definitely had enough information to where it didn't catch me off guard and scare the ever living crap out of me like it could have. I think some
Yeah.
people they wouldn't really know what to think or what to do, or really how to digest that at first because it is so potent and so powerful. And like I said before, it's so tangible. This is not something where you've got to sit there and really think like, do I feel it? Am I feeling anything? Maybe my mind's playing tricks on me. I don't know. Like there's no doubt about it. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's like, no, when you fucking feel that shit when
yeah,
it works. Yeah. Yeah, I put that in the article. There will be no question as to whether or not the spell worked. You'll either know right then or you won't. I've thought that, I have noticed in doing this for several people now that it does tend to affect different people different ways. And, the more in tune you are with your own energy and with your own body, then the more you're going to notice the effects. But it seems to, like, if someone has a health problem or something like that, then it seems to that energy seems to kind of go where it needs to go, you know. And so, a perfectly healthy person that has no issues, they're going to feel that energy a lot more than someone, I think, that has a lot of health issues, because it's kind of like taking a pain pill when you have pain versus when you don't have pain. You take the pain pill when you have no pain, you get nothing but euphoria from it, whereas if something hurts really bad, then it seems to kind of just go to the afflicted area and treat those symptoms. So, but no, so far everybody has noticed a massive increase in energy. And one thing that I've noticed is, with my rituals, there are certain rituals that really take it out of me. That after performing said ritual, it might take me three days to recover from that.
mm-hmm.
And I've done several of those really intense workings since having the deification rite perform for me, and I have not noticed that ritual fatigue since then. It's like I have a whole nother well of energy to pull from for my magical workings, and it doesn't take it out of me like it used to. And another thing that I've noticed is sleep is almost not necessary physically. Like, my mind still gets tired. Like, at the end of the day, I'm mentally exhausted. I want to lay down and go to sleep, but my body is not tired. So it's really strange. Like sometimes I'll go to sleep for a couple of hours and then wake up and be wanting to go do something around the house because, you know, it's like my body has not been going to sleep. You know how when you wake up from a deep sleep in the mornings, like you're not only mentally groggy, but it takes your body time to wake up.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Well, I have not been noticing that. It's like my body's awake as soon as my feet hit the floor. You know, it might take my brain a minute to catch up with my body, but it's like I feel like if I had to go 2 or 3 days with no sleep after having that done, I don't think it would be a problem. So, have you noticed anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. And the weird thing about it, you know, now that you mention it, it's almost like, you know, I've had a lot of those, you know, restless, you know, sleepless nights, but it wasn't like it was something that was a negative aspect or anything that was like really nagging at me or whatnot. But, you know, it just, I wouldn't really feel tired. And I noticed that, you know, 2 or 3 days would go by and I really wouldn't get much sleep, but it would almost seem like every day that I would go and not get sleep, I would actually be more energized than I was the day prior, you know, where you would think that it would be the opposite way around, like that I would slowly start to deteriorate and then just crash. But it was like every day that I did go without sleep, I was gaining this influx of clarity, you know, even more than I had had the day before. And so it's really, it doesn't really make like logical sense, but that is exactly what I have experienced. Another thing too that was really huge for me is that I was able to regain some magical abilities that I thought I had lost forever. That
Really?
I had been playing, you know, hell trying to get them back and feeling like, you know, they're just gone, I guess. Or either I was just crazy as shit and I never had them to begin with. But yeah, I definitely found out that that wasn't the case, that, you know, everything that I felt like I had lost, you know, was all bestowed upon me all over again. And that was huge. I mean, that, I mean, I still get excited every day thinking about that.
So it reawakened some things in you that had gone dormant for a little while.
Yeah. I
Very cool.
say so. Um, you know, I mean, the best way I can describe it is that it just eliminates any self-imposed restrictions or roadblocks, or you know, just any kind of roadblocks of any kind, any type of restriction or barrier that has been placed before you. It just it just dissolves. It's just eliminated, and you can, you know, just have uh, unfettered access to continue on down your path, like the barrier was never there to begin with.
That's awesome, dude. And yeah, I've noticed that. Well, I guess the best way I could describe it, you know, and it's really hard to, is I feel like it triggered, like possibly triggered DNA or activated DNA that was dormant. Like I'm like my you know, I'm not a psychic, man, and I don't claim to be, never have claimed to be. But since having this ritual done, I've been like intercepting thoughts from people, like not trying to or anything like that. I'll be standing next to someone at work or something like that, and a thought will fly into my head or a phrase, you know, a phrase of words, and I won't think anything of it. But then the person next to me will turn around and say those exact same words, or they'll do exactly what I just thought about doing. So it's almost like whenever I'm not trying to or not really paying attention, you're just kind of like in the zone, focused on whatever you're doing, that you can almost intercept or receive other people's thoughts at times. And so I've also, once I realized that, I started experimenting with pushing thoughts into people's heads. Like, and I'll do this to like random people at Walmart. It's nothing that's going to hurt them or anything. But, for one example, I'll stroll up to the checkout line and there'll be somebody in front of me that's got like a cart full of shit, and I'll have 2 or 3 things. And so what I'll do is I'll think the words, "Oh, you can go in front of me, sir. You only have a few things." And I'll focus on the person in front of me, like staring at the back of their head, and think that while I'm looking at them. And dude, like 2 out of 3 times, they'll turn around out of the blue and be like, "Oh, you've only got a couple of things. You want to go in front of me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. Thank you." Which normally never happens. I mean, people are fucking rude, man. They're not going to, most people are going to offer you to jump in front of them in line. So that's one like way that I've experimented on people as far as pushing thoughts. And another way is like causing them to like turn or go one way or the other. Like it's almost like you project yourself out and embody that person, and then think the thought like it's your own, and it like somehow implants that into their head. So these are things that I had experimented with in the past and had very little results from. Whereas over the last couple of months, since having this ritual done, it's like it almost happens effortlessly. So I think it awakens like your psychic abilities as well, or at least enhances, what you already have.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and in my experience, it's very similar to what you're explaining. Because one of the things that I was always able to do, and it was, rather addictive. I know I've talked about it on my channel a few times, and I talked to you about it, of course, on several occasions, is that, I for years I had this ability. It was kind of like a tantric, energetic exchange that I could have with people, at will, whoever I wanted, basically. I was able to project certain types of sensations, onto or into their physical body and watch them react to it. It's when that came back, I was just so excited because, I was crushed when I lost that ability, when I just couldn't feel it anymore. And when I would try to do it, it just wouldn't work. And the harder I would try, the more I wouldn't feel it. But after this, I felt it again. It was it's kind of like I knew how to ride a bike, but then I forgot how to ride a bike. And then all of a sudden I had total recall, and I remembered how to ride the bike again, and I knew that I could do it, and I could feel that I could do it. And I was able to kind of pick back up with that right where I left off and actually expound upon it in ways that I couldn't prior. So, it's like, I really need to sit down and really outline all of the benefits that I've experienced from this, because they're so numerous that I know I'm going to overlook not just 1 or 2 of them, but 5 or 10. I mean, it's like it really is. It's mind blowing. It really is mind blowing. I mean, I've not had a result like this that manifested so quickly, that delivered on its intended purpose, and the way that it was explained and meant to be. I mean, it was everything that it was built up to be, and then some. I mean, there's no there's really no there's no, there's no taking this and trying to build it up to be something that it's not at all. I mean, it like, I don't have to embellish even the slightest little aspect of it. I mean, it really is everything that you intended it to be and everything that you explained it to be. It's all of those things. And then there's all these extra little surprises and perks that come along with it too, that are, really, really nice surprises and benefits. I mean, I feel like this is one of those things where it's like, it's never going, the novelty is never going to wear off, and it's never going to really get old, because it is, you are renewed in such a way that there's just nothing else that can replicate that I've ever found or even heard of, really. I mean, this is something that you would swear up and down is a a fragment of my imagination or something from like a sci-fi movie or something. I mean, but it's not. It's real. It is real. As I and you sit here, it is real as we are. As real as everything around us. It's that ritual is almost like it's a living, breathing entity in and of itself. And when you perform it, you awaken. You awaken that entity, but you also awaken that aspect of yourself that is that ancient power and energy and entity that is like dormant inside of you. So like you were saying, like from a DNA standpoint, yeah, I mean, I definitely felt, I don't want to say altered, I felt enhanced, in every sense of the word. Like, for one thing that I've noticed, it's been very prevalent, is that time has seemed to move a lot quicker, and days are not so long and hard. I just kind of like float through each one of them, and before I knew it, 30 days had gone by, and it was like it was nothing, like it was no big deal. It was it was just kind of living life and really living it, not battling it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. And yeah, I can honestly say that I've felt the same way since you did this ritual for me. Like life's been more enjoyable. Like it put the life back in me, and it helped me recover from injuries. It helped me recover from psychological trauma that I've experienced throughout my life that has, have had devastating effects on me. It's like, yeah. And what you're saying with time, like the days used to drag by for me at work. I would be in pain, my back would be hurting. I would be, just miserable in my own skin. Whereas since then, I've just been happy to be alive, and everything that I do is that much more enjoyable because I'm actually able to enjoy it. And yeah, for me, that's worth more than anything, dude. So yeah, absolutely. And this is something that I'm going to be offering as a service to other people, other magicians. First of all, I encourage people to do this ritual themselves if they're able to. I encourage, I want to see people working together. I encourage magicians to get together and do this ritual for each other. But if you're, if you're unable to do that because of the location you live in, or it's just, more than you want to take on at this time, then I'll be offering this service through Become a Living God, and you'll be able to go to Become a Living God's catalog and hire me personally to do this ritual for you. And that's something that I'm really excited about. I'm looking forward to rolling that out here very soon. So, hell yeah, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming on here and giving me a great review on this, dude. And yeah, I look forward to continue to do this with you in the future, and really see how far these limits can be pushed, because I don't think there are any limits to it. I think that, and I honestly think that this ritual and other rituals of this nature could be the key to developing superhuman-like abilities, to develop your psychic abilities and your magic abilities and your physical abilities to a level that we never thought possible. And I think the key is repetition, and I think that another key is experimenting with different types of sacrifices. So yeah, I couldn't be more excited about this, bro.
Same here, man. I mean, I'm really like super stoked, for you and this opportunity that you have to work with Become a Living God, but also I'm excited for everyone that is going to now have the luxury of being able to have this ritual performed on their behalf, by a freaking, one of the best sorcerers out there. I mean, it's they are definitely going to be pleasantly surprised, if not totally shocked, by the results that they're going to get, and it's going to be something that this is life changing. I mean, straight up, it's life changing. And I think, like we had talked about before, that's what people are looking for. The whole reason that we do magic in the first place is to enrich and enhance our lives, and this does all of that and then some. So it's like, you've got everything that you need kind of wrapped up in one nice, convenient package or ritual here. And I really encourage people to take full advantage of it, and really, you got to experience it for yourself. If you're a practitioner yourself, or, even if you're just curious, if you want to see how far you can push your own boundaries and limitations in your physical life, even, all magic aspects aside, I highly encourage you to consider having this performed for you, and JS will definitely to deliver on it. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I appreciate that, brother. And
well, yeah,
it's been a pleasure all the way around, man. For sure.
Man, it's been a magical ride so far, and it's just the beginning. So
that's it. This is only the beginning.
Hell yeah. 2018 is going to be great, and if we keep this up, it's going to be 2025 before we know it. So yeah. I'm really excited to see where it goes, and due to the increase in clarity that I have, I can see where it's going to go, and it's going to be wildly successful, and it's going to impact so many people in so many different ways. That's really what I am the most excited about, is that now people have the opportunity to have access to the benefits that this can deliver to them. It's not a pipe dream. It's not smoke and mirrors. It's legitimate, tangible results. It's definitely it's supernatural. It definitely is. It is everything that you could ever want, just all wrapped up into one. I'm just so stoked, man, that I can't wait to watch it all unfold, and to speak to people on regards to their experience that they're going to have from this.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that too. You know, I've been getting really good feedback from folks, and I look forward to hearing more stories of their experiences. You know, the book just came out a few months ago, so I mean, there's a lot of people have not heard of this yet. But yeah, that's my ultimate goal, man. I want to see people coming together, putting aside their petty differences, and getting on the same team here. And I think that this ritual is an excellent thing to bring that about. It encourages magicians to work together, to work towards improving each other, not just themselves. And it's also a really excellent way for us to develop our skills at evocation, because if you think about it, we're not only are we getting feedback from living subjects. You know, I can do the ritual for you and then talk to you about it the next day and hear your experience. But going into this ritual, there's no doubt whatsoever. I think a big obstacle for sorcerers to get past, especially when it comes to evocation, is the doubt aspect. You know, they doubt whether or not any of it's real. They don't know if they're going to get a response. They don't know if the spirit they're trying to call even really exists or if it's all in their head. It's not the case here. I know you exist. I know your spirit exists, and you're not on some other plane or some other dimension. You're right here on this physical plane with me. So all I have to do is call your spirit out of your body. And there's no question as to whether or not that's possible. All there is to go and fucking do it. And yeah, it's too much fun, dude. And I got one more question here for you. As the operator in this ritual, whenever you were doing the evocation for myself, and I know you've done it for several other people too, so at any point as the operator, do you notice that you're able to tell when their spirit is present, like when they show up? Can you feel it?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I could feel, you know, like especially practitioners, you know, it's like when they come in with like guns a-blazing almost, you know, like I could feel your distinct energetic signature just everywhere, like saturating the entire ritual space. I mean, like it was, you know, like you were in the air, you know, it was like you know, it's like, okay, I could almost like feel like a viscosity to the air almost, like it made it like it was like thick and even like hard to breathe. I mean, like there was no doubt that your presence was there, and it was there in a big way. Like I had no doubt. I didn't have to sit there and think about it, or I didn't even really have an opportunity to doubt myself, because it was just like, you know, when I called, you were there, man, and it's definitely, it's much different than evoking a spirit or a deity. It has a different feel to it for me, you know, when it's an actual living person. You know, even when you take into consideration the aspect of, you know, are we, you know, timeless beings that, you know, if time is not a linear thing, that, you know, we could evoke ourselves, you know, 30 years in the future or whatever. But it definitely, there's a different feel to evoking, like I really do, I believe that, like when I called your spirit forth, it was from your body. It wasn't from some other place in time where you still exist and you came from there. You know, like it didn't feel like other spirits. It felt totally different. And I think it's because you were evoked from your living vessel.
Yeah, yeah, That was why I asked you that. I was wondering if you noticed the difference between that the presence of a spirit of a person or the spirit of a deity that you've worked with. I've noticed that the presence when I'm evoking a person during this ritual, like when they show up, there's no question for me. Like they are there. Like you literally feel it, and sometimes I will see it in the flames. And yeah, it's like the presence is so much stronger because we exist here on the same plane. So you're not trying to rip a hole between worlds and communicate through that hole with a spirit. It's like, no, you get the full presence of that spirit. And whenever if someone has familiar, an entire legion that surrounds them, then all of those spirits seem to show up with that person. It's like they carry that spirit. And so, this is something that could be potentially used for baneful magic. But just remember that if you evoke another sorcerer, then for a baneful reason, then you are going to have to contend with every spirit that surrounds and operates and works with that sorcerer. So be prepared to contend with that. And that's really about all I have to say about it, bro. It's an awesome experience, both receiving and operating. And I wanted to jump on here and hear a little bit about your experiences as well. And hopefully other people will be able to watch this and get an idea of what they're getting into. And yeah, I look forward to the
They
future,
should get
bro.
excited about it. I mean, they should legitimately be feel like a kid at Christmas, to use that analogy. That's the way that I feel, even just thinking about either receiving or being the operator in this ritual. It is really, I mean, like, I wish I could go out and do it right now because of just of
It's
how
addictive.
empowering it is. It is, man. It really is. Um, I really think that you discover more about yourself every time you have it done for you and every time that you perform it for somebody else. I mean, the level of embodiment of just supreme power is unmatched to anything that I have ever experienced in this physical life. And that's why I'm like so excited to do it again and again, because it just it evokes something within me that is a primal force to be reckoned with, really. It's a beast, but it's a compassionate beast, and it's a beast of like profound knowledge and wisdom, and things that I felt like I did not have access to. I know now, like, there really is no limitations. I've like broken free from those restrictions that used to be placed upon me, or that I felt were placed upon me. And that, just that aspect of it, to feel that liberation and that freedom, and to like feel like you spread your wings really for the first time, that is amazing. It's amazing, and it just never gets old. It never gets old.
Oh yeah. Well, it's designed to enhance people on every level, both physically and spiritually. So yeah, that's definitely what I'm getting out of this, and it sounds like others are as well. So I couldn't be happier, man. I thank you again for coming on and chatting about this with me, and thank you again for agreeing to take part in this ritual with me. It's been an experience unlike any other, and I can't wait to push the boundaries.
Same here, man. And I'm so appreciative and so honored and humbled that that you would give me this opportunity to work with you at this capacity. And I'm just so optimistic and so excited for the future. And I know that, without a doubt, that due to this ritual here, we're going to be able to mold and create that reality that we're so looking forward to, with the greatest of ease, really.
Hell yeah. Well, the honor, brother. It's been a pleasure.
Hell yeah, man. I look forward to talking to you again soon. And check out J.S. Garrett in the catalog. He's going to be in there soon. I think that he's going to be a very busy man, and take full advantage of it while you can. It's unlike anything else you'll ever experience.
Awesome, brother. You have a good night. Thank you.
You too, JS. See you, man.